Most people have never heard of this technique before, and that's what makes us truly different at Work It Daily. We're teaching you the actual things that are working right now to get you the visibility that you need to get hired. Right? If you watched yesterday, you understand there are way too many people fighting for way too few jobs, and most of them are doing it the wrong way. They're applying online, which just doesn't work. And so, if you can learn to unlock your UVA, your unique value add, and get it in front of the right people, that is going to set you apart. You're going to be able to stand out, and you're going to be able to get the results that you want and deserve. So if we're all in agreement on that, if we're all on board with what we're learning so far, I would love to see a heck yeah or a thumbs up or a let's go JT in the comments so that I know that you're paying attention and that you're ready to rock and roll here. All right. So what I want to do now is talk a little bit about how you determine your UVA. So I've been studying this for 20 years. And when I became a career coach, I had to build a set of tools that would help people understand this. So I actually am an engineer by degree. I'm a very logical person. I like structure. I like things to make sense. And so when I became a career coach, I needed a very efficient way to take people's personal information, learn about them, their unique aspects of them, pull it together and help make sense of it, right? Like pieces of a puzzle, so that I could teach them what they needed to then go market about themselves. Now, I ended up making a suite of tools, like a suite of assessment tools. There are 7 assessment tools in total. And if you ever wanted access to all 7 of those tools, it's all part of an assessment that we have inside the Work It Daily platform. So if you ever wanted to go deep dive assess on yourself and really understand these things, that would be something you could access in our incredible career library. But of the 7, the 2 that stood out the most were your workplace personas and your interaction style. And when you can unlock these 2 aspects of yourself, you can get a pretty darn good, clear picture of what your UVA is, your unique value add. Because all of the folks here, you all have experience, you all have skill sets, you all know technologies, you've all worked at certain companies, right? But it's the unique combination of that coupled with how you like to do tasks that creates your unique value add, okay? You with me so far? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is something called your workplace personas. And I think when you see this, it will make a lot of sense to you, because this is the secret sauce. This is the thing that you need to be talking about in job interviews, for example, or when you're out meeting people for the first time, so that they're immediately understanding your values. So let me bring that up on the screen. All right, here we go. These are the 8 workplace personas, and you can all see them here: educator, researcher, mentor, optimizer, warrior, super connector, builder, and visionary. Okay, now what each of these does is create value in the workplace. And you could probably do all of these things. Everyone here is probably fully capable of doing all 8 of these things, but it doesn't mean you necessarily want to do all 8. And one of the ways that we get jobs that we really enjoy and therefore become very successful at, and therefore get recognized and rewarded for, is when we're leveraging our top 3 workplace personas. So everyone on this call today, out of these 8, there's probably 3 that you would most like to do, right? So an educator likes to instruct or teach or communicate things to help others learn and understand. A researcher is somebody that does like to do the research, find the facts, do the homework, present the data. A mentor is somebody who likes to coach somebody, likes to help inspire somebody, motivate somebody, help them figure things out for themselves and empower them. An optimizer loves to fix broken things or likes to take a process and improve it. A warrior is somebody that just believes in that team effort, like isn't afraid to take out the trash, isn't afraid to roll up their sleeves, really sees their job as to jump in where they're needed. Okay. A super connector loves bringing people together. They love, getting this person to talk to this person and having conversations, and just feels like the very nature of that communication makes everybody smarter. All right. A builder is somebody who likes to construct things, give them the blueprint, and they like to add it all together. Right. And a visionary is someone who can see the big picture and is really good at articulating what could be. Because if someone can't paint the picture and help people understand, you can't get them all rowing in the same direction. You can't get them all producing. So these are all very, very important things that people do. These are the 8 main ways people build and create value in the workplace. But as I said, all of you only have 3 that are your top. All right. Does that, you with me? 3 that really matter. And so when you understand that, you can start to craft all this kind of, and I want to bring it up. I want to see your comments. You can start to craft all this kind of personalized explanation of your value. Okay. So if I'm an educator, I can talk about the times where I was able to explain things to people so that they learned it faster and they were able to get results faster. If I'm a researcher, I can talk about times where I got the data, compiled the data, made sense of the data, and was able to extrapolate, some aha moments about the data. If I prefer being a mentor, I can talk about times I really coached people up. If I'm an optimizer, I can talk about a time something was broken and I fixed it, or there was a process that needed to run faster. If I'm a warrior, I can talk about the time I swooped in and saved the day and did something that wasn't my job. If I'm a super connector, I can talk about the time that I got this person talking, and together they formed a new relationship that got all these results, right? If I'm a builder, I can talk about the time they gave me the plans and I ran with it and built it. If I'm a visionary, I can talk about the time that I saw the solution before anybody else and I was able to articulate that solution and make it happen, right? So these are just quick examples, all right? And the way that you can really test this, and I think it is important to show you all, is if you were a member of Work It Daily, inside our platform, our $39 a month platform, you have access to a tool. This was such a powerful tool, the workplace personas, that we turned it into an AI agent. And what it does is take you through a series of questions. And through that series of questions, it's 20 questions total, it comes up with a 3-page report about your top 3 workplace personas. So it's able to tell you not only what your top 3 personas are and why, but then it tells you how you should be using it when you're marketing yourself and in your job search. So it's a really cool, I'll just jump over, but you get the full report and it's processing here. I'm not going to show you one because you really need to sign up to see it, but it gives you videos explaining it. And then it gives you this huge 3-page report that you're able to review and download in order to utilize it. So if you're interested in that, folks, just remember that we have the entire quiz and the 3-page report. For those of you that are already members, you're able to get in there right now in our platform and access that, just so you know, okay? But for the rest of you, if you're not ready to, join us per se, you can at least look at these 8 and maybe make an educated guess at what you think your top 3 are. So I would love to see in the comments right now, what do you think your 3 are? When you look at these 8 and you think about how you'd like to spend your day and time and how you'd feel really productive, which of these would be your top 3 favorite? It'd probably be cool at some point in time if you decide to join us to compare it to what you really are, but you can start to get a sense of that, okay? Once you know that, you can start to choose the various aspects of your work history that you want to share in interviews that validate these. And by doing that, you are automatically talking about your value in a way that they're looking for. I have worked with recruiters for 30 years now, right? Hiring managers, companies. The reason I know this works, and by the way, over 100,000 people have taken this quiz, it's deadly accurate, okay, is that they tell me, I need this kind of person, I need that kind of person. And when we looked at what they were saying they needed, it really came down to you needed one of these, right? So I would be able to look to a recruiter and say, so what you really need for this job is somebody who's good at super connecting, but also is really good at optimizing and educating. Yes, right? They would say that to me, exactly, JT. And then once I realized, well, these are the universal terms, it's much easier to teach the job seeker how to speak the language of the recruiter, okay? So it's really, really valuable. Again, what are your top 3? So I love it. So shout out to some of the people that are showing up. And what I want you to look at right now to prove my point, remember I said this is called your UVA, you're unlocking your unique value add? Look at what everybody's posting. No 2 people are the same. No 2 people are the same. This is my point to you, right? Here you are all looking the same on paper and why resumes don't work anymore. But when you unlock your UVA and you know what your top 3 workplace personas are and you learn how to articulate them, now we're talking, right? Now you're really getting to see the benefit of that. And you're able to articulate the benefit of that in a way that makes them understand it. Okay? Are you all with me so far? Does that make sense? It's pretty cool, right? I'll tell you, the quiz is really cool. For those of you that are in our program, I think you can validate and tell them. And the report's amazing because it breaks it down for you. But then that's not the only piece of the puzzle, okay? Besides knowing your top 3 workplace personas, it is also important to then partner that with your number 1 interaction style. So, interaction styles are how you communicate and express yourself in the workplace. And there are four main interaction styles. There's a commander. Commanders are very like driven. They hold themselves to high standards. They tend to be more direct and serious. They're less about talking about their family and what they did for the weekend and more kind of just dive into work because they like to produce. They like to get things done. They're also not afraid of conflict. They're not afraid of leading. They're not afraid of pressure, right? That's why when you look at leadership roles, oftentimes that kind of more intense commander type person ends up in the role because of the amount of pressure they're willing to take. They sort of thrive under it, if you will. Then there's the contemplator. The contemplator is that person that crosses their T's, they dot their I's, they're very patient. They often come across very wise and pensive. They don't talk a ton. They really keep it close to the vest. I once had a fabulous contemplator say to me, JT, every time I open my mouth and I speak, it's a window to my soul, meaning when I talk, I want to make sure I'm getting it right. So contemplators are very measured in what they say. And you have to be very mindful of them, right? Like they're just not going to create conflict. They're not going to just say anything they think and feel, but it doesn't mean they're not really thinking about it, right? In fact, that's what they're doing. Instead of just saying anything that comes to mind, they're really contemplating it, hence the name. Third one is energizers. Energizers are people, they're like team cheerleaders, team captains. They know how to, give that feedback in a way that is kind of, they can give feedback in a way that lands well. They're quick-witted. Like if there's a tense situation, they can say something to lighten the mood. They have a lot of intuition. Energizers can just like identify things, and they're very much visionaries. They can see things done before other people. And so for them, they'll oftentimes look around and be like, doesn't everybody get this? And you have to look at them and go, no, not everybody's where you're at. Your brain's just working in hyperspeed. So they spend the rest of their life kind of waiting for people to catch up to their thoughts and ideas because that's how quickly their brain moves. And, they want to go, right? They're very energetic. And then lastly is the empathizer. So this is someone who really sees other people's positions. They can put themselves in other people's shoes. So they have a lot of empathy because they can imagine what that person's going through, or they can appreciate that maybe what's happening there. So people love to have empathizers on their team because they're very inclusive, they're very supportive, they're very kind, right? The challenge for the empathizer is that when they're stressed out or when people are stressing them out, they also want to avoid conflict, kind of like the contemplator, but they have to process it. So they'll often want to go and talk to somebody about their frustration about a coworker or someone in order to process it. The problem is a lot of times that gets back to people, and now that empathizer who was really trying to do it to avoid hurting people's feelings is being seen as someone who talks behind someone's back. So empathizers have to be careful because they're very emotional, they're very caring, they're very supportive, but they have to be careful who they talk to because of that nature, right? So it's interesting. Each one of these has their strengths and their weaknesses. There's no better style to be. There really isn't. And you need all of these styles in the workplace. But quite frankly, all of us are going to have a dominant style, especially when it comes to our work. Now, people will say to me, how do you get your style? Well, believe it or not, since an early age, you've been growing up, you've been seeing people interact. That's why it's called an interaction style. And there have been styles that you really like that you're drawn to, and there's styles that you really don't like. So you can often say, oh, I could never be a commander because I grew up with commanders and, they made me feel stressed out, right? Or I would never be an empathizer because I grew up with people that had a lot of emotion and were really expressive and it stressed me out. So it's so weird because there's nothing wrong with it, but that these types of environments that you are in will often shape your communication style and what you feel most comfortable with. All right. A little thing that you need to know, if I'm, again, being honest, because your strengths create your weaknesses. Commanders are often seen as sort of cold fish, as uncaring when they're very intense in their intense moments. Contemplators are seen as aloof. And maybe they don't care. In fact, contemplators are the most commonly passed over for promotion because people think they don't care, when obviously they do. Energizers, their energy gets the best of them. So when they're emotional, everybody walks on eggshells around them, and that just makes them more angry. And empathizers, like I said, can sometimes be seen as talking behind people's backs. And so I don't think anybody intentionally means to be that way, but it can be a byproduct of your style. So it is important to know these things about yourself. Now, going back to that UVA quiz inside Work It Daily, it also takes you through this. So that 3-page report not only takes you through and helps you find your top 3 workplace personas, but it's also going to tell you what your number 1 interaction style is and what that all means together. So, but again, for most of you, just with what I described here, you probably could guesstimate what your number 1 style is. So again, I would love to see in the comments, remember there's no bad thing. Okay, we have to be able to honestly assess ourselves. What do you think you are? Are you a commander, a contemplator, an energizer, an empathizer? Everybody share in the comments. I want to see in the comments what you think it is. So now when you think about those two things together, like I said, hundreds of thousands of people have taken this since I actually digitized it in 2015. What happens is it becomes very clear that everyone has a true unique value add. No two people are the same. Everyone has a different UVA. How cool is that? Because it means you can brand that for you and you can get the jobs that you want based on your value, what you want to do. That's what we need to learn. When I work with people and I see where they are on the job satisfaction continuum, and by that I mean over here is like super unhappy, absolutely miserable, hate every single day at their jobs, up to here, oh my gosh, I love my job. I pinch myself. I can't believe I get to do this job. I can tell you right now, the person over here that's miserable is not leveraging any aspect of their UVA. They're not doing anything that matches their UVA. And the people that are loving life, 100% dialed into their UVA. They have found a job, a career, and a company where they are leveraging that vast majority of the time on a daily basis. And that's where your deep satisfaction from work comes from. That's when work stops feeling like work. So no matter what, everyone on here should be unlocking their UVA and then focusing on, okay, what kinds of jobs, what kinds of careers, what kinds of companies would allow me to leverage this so that I could feel good about myself every single day. That is the secret sauce. 30 years in recruiting, over 20 years as a career coach, having worked with tens of thousands of people, I would not be sitting here giving this to you if I didn't know for a fact that this is the secret sauce. And I'm showing it to you today. Because right now in this economy, and let's talk about this, right? Right now in this economy, people are fighting for jobs and they don't know how to express this in a way that makes them stand out, but also manages the expectations of the hiring manager. Remember, you're a business of one selling your services. You need to make sure they know what they're paying for. So you need to be able to market this value and talk about all the ways that you're going to save the money, make the money, solve problems, alleviate pain, but do it with your top 3 workplace personas and your interaction style. Do it with your UVA so that when they hire you, they know that's what your strengths are. Not only do they hire the right person, but you're getting to use those skill sets. Does that make sense to everybody? If it does, can I get like a heck yeah in the chat? I really want to make sure that all of you are understanding that. Yeah. Now, one of the things, I'm going to take questions in a little bit here, but one of the things that this 5-day challenge includes is every day I've created a little PDF for you that you can download, and you'll find it if you're on LinkedIn or if you're on YouTube right now, you'll find it in the show notes. And by the way, everybody, this entire course is being recorded and saved over in a playlist at Work It Daily's YouTube channel. So you can access yesterday's. If you're finding this for this first time, you can go back and catch up and go all the way through it at your own pace. But I did want to show you this 3-page doc that I built for all of you because I think it's really important. So let me bring this up because you do have a little homework assignment. So yesterday, this is day 2. Yesterday, I had you come up with your 8-word sentence that summarized your UVA, right? I help companies blank, 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 right? So I saw so many people out there working on it, and I said, come up with 3 versions of it. One of the common things that we see when people do that first exercise, and by the way, if you're a Work It Daily member, we work with you on all that inside the platform. But for those of you that aren't Work It Daily members yet and you're just taking the free training, one of the things we see people do is they come up with their 3 8-word statements, but they're too general, meaning you sound like a nice to have, not a must have. It's really important that you fine tune your UVA to talk about and speak to the problems you solve and the pain you alleviate. Right? So for example, what I shared with you all yesterday is I help people get new, better paying jobs. Okay? People who are hurting and aren't getting a new, better paying job, they hear those 8 words, I am their aspirin. So you have to challenge yourself because sometimes people use a lot of fancy words and they're trying to sound impressive, and their 8 words doesn't say anything. It doesn't talk to the pain. You know, I had somebody like, I help leaders transform their departments. What does transform mean? Like, where's the pain? You've got to get really specific. So that's why deep diving into your UVA and starting to be able to expand upon the ways in which you articulate your value is going to make you better and better at talking about yourself in a very authentic way. All right. So what we're learning today and what we're kind of making sure that you internalize is that credentials aren't enough. A resume isn't enough. A LinkedIn profile isn't enough. Your UVA is a way to take your experiences, your wins, your mistakes, the challenges you've overcome, your perspective, how you think about solving a problem, your depth of knowledge in your field, and your personality, right? You know, how you lead and you influence and communicate. We're taking all those nuances and making it much clearer to them so that they feel more connected to you and they can really start to visualize that you are the solution to their problem. So one of the upsides of really getting into your UVA is you stop looking like every other candidate, but also you stop thinking you're an imposter. A lot of people come to me and say, JT, I'm struggling with imposter syndrome. Well, not when you're done with this, because when you unlock your UVA, like we teach you in Work It Daily, you're showing up with authenticity. You are being you. You are really communicating the value that you believe in. And that is going to organically, naturally give you more confidence. And that is what is missing from most people today who are out job searching. They aren't confident, they aren't clear, they aren't compelling, and so they lose. That's what's happening. That's what this is so important for, okay? So some takeaways and then some things to think about, and then I'm going to take some questions. Credentials aren't going to differentiate you. What did we learn yesterday? Resumes are dead. Resumes don't differentiate you. Your UVA does, okay? It's the combination of your experience and your perspective and your knowledge and your personality. And we do that with your top three workplace personas and your number one interaction style. And when you have those things, when you have those two things together, you're going to be able to very quickly visualize that. It is the foundation of your pro voice, the voice that you are going to use to impress hiring managers and recruiters. So you're going to get an authentic, confident, real voice that you're comfortable with when you really unlock this, right? So some things that you can do today in the homework assignment, if you're really still trying to wrap your head around this, is think about, what do people always come and ask you to do at work? Like, go ask people you work with, like, when you think I'm the go-to person for something, what do you think it is? And look for the patterns. Look for similarities in the answers people give you. Think about impact. Go back and look at your jobs and say, what was my impact? What were the outcomes? You know, how did I save money, make money, solve problems, alleviate pain? Look for the patterns in that. How were they similar, right? Like with my clients, I'll sometimes say, tell me about your 3 biggest wins and what was the impact on the job. And when I see those, there's always patterns. Always patterns. And we're like, look, you were a visionary in all 3 of these. You were a builder in all 3 of these. You were a super connector in all 3 of these, right? Look for the patterns, okay? And then really ask your peers. Now's the time to go to your friends and say, I'm really trying to get clear on my value. You know, what do you think my value is? What do you think I do that saves money, makes money, solve problems, alleviate pain? You've got to start to get that feedback and internalize it, okay? Yep. So what you're going to do, besides trying to figure out your UVA and unlock that, your homework is this. I want you to think about that time that you saved money, you made money, you solved problem, you alleviated pain. Everyone's going to pick like that. Of all the times in your career, what was that one time that when you think about it, you're like, I nailed it. Like I was so valuable, okay, to that employer. I was so valuable to that employer. We all have that one story we can tell, okay? And then I want you to write a single sentence about the benefit. Think about what was the benefit? What did they save money, make money, solve problem, alleviate pain, okay? Then I want you to do it 2 more times. So essentially, I want you to find 3 times in your life where you absolutely know you crushed it. I want you to write the summary sentence about how you crushed it in each one of those times, okay? And then here's the cool thing. I want you to look at those and go, all right, does that validate my interaction style? Was I an energizer, a commander, an empathizer, or a contemplator in these situations? And then what were the workplace personas that I used? What were the top 3, right? Was I a visionary, a warrior, an optimizer, a builder, a researcher, an educator, a mentor, right? And a super connector, right? So which one of those? And that's going to help you start to see, oh my gosh, I get it now. I see what JT's saying. There's patterns to the way that I deliver value. And when I can start to consistently talk about those patterns, the messaging is going to resonate. Because if you know anything about marketing, folks, marketers will tell you your message has to be repeatable. There needs to be a pattern and a consistency to your messaging. Why do all big companies have slogans? Because they want you to remember them. You hear it enough time, you associate the slogan. Let's do a test right now. Everybody think of a company that has a slogan that you always remember. Put it in the chat right now. Right? I think about McDonald's. I'm loving it. I'm thinking about Nike. Just do it. Right? So when you think about basic marketing techniques, it's about brand consistency and articulating it in a way that's repeatable, so it kind of locks in. That's what I'm having you do about your UVA with this exercise. Right? So 3 times, you totally crushed it. Summary of the benefit you provided, the impact you provided, and then take a look at those workplace personas and that interaction style and say, what was I using consistently? And I guarantee you're going to see patterns. Yes? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So now I'm going to start taking some questions. So if you've got questions, you're going to put them in the chat for me. But I want to remind you, by the way, look at it. L'Oreal, I'm worth it. Taco Bell, head for the border. Look at you guys get this. Do you see what I mean? It's not rocket science, what I'm teaching you. It's just nobody out in the job search world taught you how to market yourself correctly. And that is why you are struggling. That is the real issue. You are not marketing yourself correctly, and you are valuable, my friend. You are so valuable. But nobody knows it because you're not branding yourself. That's all. That's all we're learning here today. Yes? Okay. Now, remember, if you want to get access to that 3-page report and you want to take the quiz, you need to be a member, but we are giving you a discount code this week. And I know they'll put it in the chat. STANDOUT10. STANDOUT10. That is a secret discount code. When you go over to Work It Daily, it will take $10 a month off any membership. So you could get into the program today for $39, cancel at any time. You can go in and there's billing right in there. But if you go and join today and spend 1 month in it, you will get it for $29 a month instead of $39 a month. Or if you want our premium level, you can get it for $10 off as well. And that gives you unlimited coaching. So, but that report you can get with any membership level. So use Standout 10 if you're interested in really deep diving into yourself. Now would be the time to sign up so you can use that report, right? But if not, you can download the free little 3-page PDF I gave you. You can work on this assignment so we can keep going. Because tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how you use that to connect with people at the company. Tomorrow, I'm going to teach you back channeling with your Pro Voice using your UVA. Now you're getting to know all these terms. You're going to learn how to back channel. You're going to use your Pro Voice to back channel. And your Pro Voice is made up of your UVA, your unique value add. You are learning marketing of the business of one, the secret sauce. And I can't wait to show that to you tomorrow, okay? Because as I said, applying online isn't working, so we're going to do it a different way. Sweet. Okay. I'm going to take some questions. So let me see what we've got here. Let me get the chat up. There we go. I'm a freshest MBA without much work experience. What do I draw for my UVA? Oh, I love that question. Look, everyone has a UVA. Whatever work experience you have, you can pull out those examples, but maybe it's case studies from your MBA. Maybe it's projects that you worked on in class, right? And the results that you got, and how, like anything like that, that you go back and you just get that warm, fuzzy feeling about time and energy you spent working on something. You should be able to extrapolate your ideas around the value or the impact it had and why it got you really excited. And again, then analyze for those patterns. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to have tons of experience. I would love to create a video resume and upload it to Facebook and LinkedIn. I would not create a video resume. Video resumes don't work. I would create a results reel. A results reel is a set of short videos where you talk about the impact that you've had. So you don't write this long script, you talk about specific. If you are looking for a really cool tool to do that, there is an app, a mobile app, and it's called McCoy, MCCOY. And the McCoy mobile app helps you create a results reel that you can turn into a single URL and send to people. That is a much better use of it. Instead of, I would not record a resume. I would absolutely record a results reel using an app like McCoy, just so you know. David says, based on yesterday's exercise, any suggestions on which UVA statement I should be focused on or continue to work on until one services? You know, David, it's a work in progress. So I find that people build their UVA statement, and they do today as X-ray, starting to come together. Maybe my 8-word statement wasn't strong enough, you know? And so what you can do is test it on people. You can say to people, all right, you know, when you hear this 8 words, what do you think I do? When you hear these 8 words, what do you think I do? And so you really want to make sure that it's making sense to people. Let me go back. Like, I've worked for a very long time, and listen how basic. I don't use any fancy words, right? I help people get new, better paying jobs. It's basic, but my audience, that speaks to a direct pain. So it's probably going to take you some iterations on that. And don't be shy. Like, this would actually be a great use of ChatGPT or whatever AI agent you have, David, is to go ahead and say, with only 8 words, look at my resume, look at my LinkedIn profile, like save your LinkedIn profile as a PDF, upload your resume and say, look at this in 8 words. What's my value statement? What problem do I solve? What pain do I alleviate? How do I save money? How do I make money for a company? Really make sure that the 8-word statement is an impact statement that would make them understand why I'm valuable. Like, go prompt that. Go put that into ChatGPT. I mean, I do it with my clients all the time to help them get some ideas. But they keep iterating on it, and eventually you're going to land on one. Like, I didn't come up with that overnight. I've had to work at that, and you will too. But again, this next exercise today is going to help you start thinking much more broadly so you can put all that information with it. Yeah. Does that make sense? And by the way, the McCoy app is in the Google approval stage right now. So the McCoy app, it's for Android, should be out this week. So if it's not up yet, check in a week. It's already up on the iPhone, but they are literally, it is at Google right now waiting to be approved, and I would assume it'll be approved this week. Yeah. Very good. What do you do if you want to change fields? That's a great question. So if you're trying to change fields, a resume is really not going to work for you because you don't have any experience in the thing you want to get into. Okay. So what you're going to learn tomorrow when I talk about taking your UVA and back channeling to the places you'd like to work, you're going to have to translate that value into what they're actually doing. All right. And I'm going to show you a technique tomorrow to help you do that. So it's a very cool technique. It's very helpful. I'll show you a tool you can use with it as well. It's called the job matching matrix. And it's a way for you to match yourself and create the benefits to the job so that you can talk about it. So you're going to learn about that again, but you couldn't do this job matching matrix until you understand and start to unlock your UVA. So you'll be seeing that tomorrow. So come back tomorrow for that, okay? Okay, so RegFX put in, AI suggested transforming complex technology into engager, user-friendly digital experiences. Way too many complex words. Tell it to rewrite that for a 5th grader. Literally go back to AI and say, that's too complex. I want you to write this so that a 5th grader could understand the value I provide. You really want to make it more understandable. Yeah. This is what I mean, folks. Working on your UVA is not a like, oh, we're done in 3 seconds. Why do you think I have an entire platform called Work It Daily? Because when people get in our program, they realize, oh my gosh, the more I work on this, what we go live 5 times a week in that platform with all these lessons and sessions, because we know we got to keep working with you in these micro bursts to get you through this. So you're all doing a great job here today, right? You're doing a great job. This 5-day challenge is just to really introduce you to it and get you going with it. But this is something you'll do the rest of your career. Is once you now understand this, you're like, oh, I get it. Like, I have to keep branding myself the rest of my career. I have to keep, using my pro voice and making my pro voice stronger and clearer and more focused. And the better and better I get at this, the more success I have. Just like the better companies get at marketing themselves, the more sales they get, right? That's why they spend money on marketing, because the better they get at the marketing, the more sales they get. No different here. What I am teaching you, the better you get at this, the more success you're going to help. Yeah. So Jackie said, I help companies deliver transformative, scalable, results-driven training. Okay. Again, Jackie, like, that's a beautiful example. It still doesn't tell me anything, right? I help companies create training that makes employees more valuable. I help companies develop training that that avoids employees making mistakes. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Get more basic, more okay? I help businesses scale instantly through flexible workplace solutions. What is a workplace solution? What is flexible? Still too general, still too broad, Bill. I love that you guys are putting these in here, but do you see what I mean? I help businesses scale fast by fixing, this type of workplace issue. Like, get more specific. Otherwise, they don't hear, it's noise, right? You've got to really tighten it up. And this is what we work with. This is what we're teaching people. This is why our clients get jobs, quite frankly, because we get them to a place where they're talking about themselves so they don't sound like everybody else. Be careful of all of the multisyllabic words, right? I help people get new, better, paying jobs, like all single syllabic words except for better and paying. Basic, value, value, value. All right, Chris is getting a little closer. I like the beginning of this. I help companies save millions through global application integration. Okay, so like global application integration. Is there another way to describe what that is? Right? Thinking for a fifth grader, but I like that I help companies save millions. All right, now you're listening to me, right? Yeah, Julie said it best. Too much corporate speak. You guys are using too much corporate speak. Here's the word that is the most cringy of cringy. Transform or transformative or transformation. Do not use that word. Do not use that word. It is the most overused in the jargon. And by the way, in the recruiting world, everyone laughs and says, oh, so you like to come up with the ideas and have everybody else do the work. That's what that means in the corporate world. I want basic words, and I do not want the word transform. It is overused. Yeah, you guys are getting this. Yeah, you got it. You got basic. And keep going back. Work with your chat GPT. Work with your agent and say, help a fifth grader understand what I do, right? Don't use corporate speak. Really hit the pain point, hit the value. That's what you want to think. Oh, okay. So Paul, what if we said something different? So Paul has, I transform goals into processes everyone executes successfully. You could say, I save money by creating processes everyone executes successfully. Right? So that's a little bit more real to me. Okay, saving money by creating processes everyone executes successfully. That makes more sense to me. Right? Okay, this is kind of cool. I help companies control retention by helping employees feel heard and important. Okay, so it's a little bit longer than it needs to be, but you're getting there. The reason I give the 8-word constraint is so that you really focus in on simplicity. So I would say I help control retention and save money by making employees feel heard and important. Making, not hoping or helping. I help control retention and save money by making employees feel heard and important. A little bit longer than 8 words, but it's real. That's a real statement, right? I can imagine, right? I save money, controlling retention, making them feel heard. Okay, so that's starting to come together. You see what I'm saying? Impact words that are simple. You guys are getting this. I'm very proud of you. You're getting this. You're getting this. Okay, how are y'all feeling? Is this starting to make sense to everybody? Yes, can I get a yes? Yeah. Yeah, this is so important. Again, don't use the word transform. I'm seeing transform showing up here. No transform. Right? No transform. And again, think about your top 3 workplace personas. Right? Are you a mentor, a builder? Like, make sure that statement speaks to, are you a builder? Are you a visionary, right? Get the statement to speak to that. Get the statement to speak to that unique value add. That's what you want to think about. You're doing a good job. You guys are totally getting this. I can see it. All right. All right, so to recap, yesterday we learned no more resumes. We're going to start to use our Pro Voice, and we started coming up with talking about ourselves in a single sentence, right? 8 words. Today, we showed you how to unlock your UVA, why your 3 workplace personas and your interaction style together create this very powerful value that is you. And now you're going to start translating that into how you talk about yourself, right? You're going to get better and better and better. Tomorrow, we're going to take that and we're going to talk about how to craft ways to reach out to people that work at the companies you want to work at to get them to connect with you and have conversations with you and hand you off to the hiring manager. That's what we're going to do tomorrow with this. So I want you to download the PDF and I want you to do the homework if you're doing this free 5-day challenge. If you're one of our customers, you want to get inside, and if you haven't already done the UVA quiz and gotten your UVA results, you really should do that, right? And for those of you that want to join, this week we're giving you Standout 10, STANDOUT 10 is the super secret discount code. If you go over to Work It Daily, it will take $10 off any membership. Cancel at any time, right? And that's going to be huge because you can unlock a report. By the way, just to get a report like that would cost you $149. Like, people get so mad at me when they see this thing and they're like, why don't you charge for it? And I'm like, because it's a tool that helps my people. It helps my clients, and it's inside my platform to help my clients. Like, yeah, I've had so many people want to monetize it. I'm like, nope. So get in there and use it. You'll have fun. But if you don't want to, that's okay too. Free challenge is fine. Just do the homework exercise so that you're with us tomorrow, okay? Yeah. You're doing a good job. I'm very, very proud of you guys. Keep going with keep working it. Everything that you learned today. This was so, so good. And I will be back tomorrow, right? Okay, so before I go, what was your big aha moment? I always love to see this in the comments. So far in this training, like, what's a big aha moment for you? Like something that you're like, wow, I now see job search differently. What have you learned so far? Because hopefully you've had at least one aha moment or you wouldn't still be here. So would love to see what your aha moment is. Yes. And while I'm waiting for those aha moments, remember, you can go to our Work It Daily channel on YouTube, Work It Daily. There is a playlist called JT's 5-Day Job Search Challenge. You can subscribe to us. You will get notifications and you'll be able to access all of this. It's there. It's free if you want to do this on YouTube. And the PDF is in the notes on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube to watch the video, down below in the notes is where the PDF link is. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I love what I'm seeing. Yeah. Too many words. Speak to the 5th grade level. Thank you, Reg FX. That's exactly what I mean. Literally, speak to a 5th grader, right? Use your Pro Voice. Identify your personas. The interaction styles. I love it. Developing a UVA statement. You guys are getting this. You're really getting this. And thank you. Yes, my puppy's been sick, so I couldn't not let him stay sleeping in the room. So thank you, everyone, for letting my little guy Boomer hang with you guys. Don't use the word transformation. Think everyone that takes that away, thank you. Because I mean it. I'm just telling you that. Like, it's literally nails on a chalkboard to recruiters. It's such an overused word. Yeah. Good job. Yeah, the one contemplators being passed over for promotion. I've worked with so many contemplators over the years who are like, I got passed over again and again and again. And I'm like, let me guess, take this test. You're a contemplator. They're like, how'd you know? Yeah, it's frustrating. But this is all things we can solve for once we understand you, right? This is why I built the platform, so we could really get at who you are as a professional and leverage your strengths. Yeah, cool. All right, team, I'm going to bounce. I'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully so are you. We'll keep building upon this. You'll keep learning more as you go. And tomorrow we'll start talking about how to get in touch with them and how to use this to stand out. And hopefully I'll see some of you inside the platform. Yes? Cool. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.